All right, folks. I think we're going to try to begin here. All right. Good morning, Tahoe Donner. It is now 10:06 a.m. I think we are as orderly as we're going to get. So I will go ahead and call the 2025 annual meeting to order. Along with Annie Rosenfeld, our general manager, we have the entire board here today, either on stage or online. Courtney Morrell, our board secretary, Dawn Kunis, our treasurer, Denise Gawney, our vice president, and director Jim Roth, who is concluding 6 years of service to our community. And I am Benjamin Levine, president of the board. As president and speaking on behalf of the entire board of directors, I want to welcome everyone to this year's annual meeting and member expo. Before I make a few announcements, we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. By tradition, we usually ask a veteran to lead the pledge at our annual meeting. Today will be a little different. To lead the pledge, I'd like to call upon United States Air Force Academy Cadet Second Class, Gavin Morrell. Gavin grew up in Tahoe Donner and is a graduate of Truckee High School. He's also Courtney's son. Gavin, whenever you're ready. Thank you, Gavin. We are all proud to have you representing the best of our community at the Air Force Academy. Now on with the announcements. Most years, I would now need to explain how to cast your last-minute vote in this year's board election. This year, the election was concluded by acclamation, since we only had 2 candidates for the 2 open seats, Jay Wertheim and me. Where is Jay? Can we ask Jay to stand up? Jay. I've had the opportunity to get to know Jay a little. You will all be impressed by his intelligence, perspective, and contributions on the board. He's a great guy, engaging and warm, with a big friendly smile. Please look for Jay around Tahoe Donner, say hello, and offer your congratulations. Next up, member questions. Staff and the board will be answering your questions later this morning. If you're joining us online, please email your questions to comdep@tahoedonner.com. That is comdep@tahoedonner.com. If you're here in person, please use the comment cards available at the table in the back. We have can you wave your hand again? So deadline to submit your questions is 10:30 a.m., which is about 20 minutes from now. Also, we are thrilled to have so many folks here representing committees, clubs, the town, and local agencies and organizations. Before you head home, please make sure that you make the rounds and visit all of them at the tables. Finally, our barbecue lunch will begin at 11:30. It's buffet style with 2 lines. Staff will be serving. Non-alcoholic drinks are complimentary, with alcohol available for purchase at Pizza on the Hill. After lunch, Pizza on the Hill will close for a bit before reopening for regular service. That's all I have for opening business and announcements, which means we are on to the speeches. And we've got some great speakers today. Of course, before we hear from those great speakers, I should probably say a few words about why we're here today. Tahoe Donner's annual meeting should be occasions for celebration. As Tahoe Donner members, we have much to celebrate today. That starts with our staff and management team. Throughout this organization, I believe we have the best team that we have ever had here in Tahoe Donner. On behalf of the board and the members, I thank all of our employees for everything you do each day to make Tahoe Donner the great community that it is. We are also proud of the member volunteers who serve Tahoe Donner on the committee system. Tahoe Donner relies on our committee system and our volunteers for so much: administering our elections, enforcing covenants and architectural rules, philanthropy, and advising staff and the board on planning, finance, and trails and open space matters. The board, staff, and the members are grateful for the time, energy, and thoughtfulness that our committee volunteers give to Tahoe Donner. Finally, I want to commend the board for being such an action-oriented board over the last year. We got a lot done. A couple weeks ago, I attended the grand opening for a new deck at the marina, a project that was stalled for more than 10 years. Now it's built. We also completed work on the expanded Glacier Way Trailhead, another project that was deferred for almost 15 years. Later today, we will hear from the Truckee River Watershed Council about the Ure Valley Restoration Project. That project includes a new boardwalk and bridge at Coyote Crossing, another project that was put off for a dozen years. And now it's under construction, funded in large part by public grant monies. After more than 17 years of indecision and drama and delay, the new ski lodge is finally being built. Construction is proceeding on budget. And it's not just on budget, it's also proceeding on time. The lodge will be ready for business on opening day in December. The board also passed a new amenity access rule, the most significant update to our amenity access system in 35 years. With the new rule, we fundamentally rethink how we provide amenity access rights and benefits to our members. It represents a reinvigorated commitment to honoring your member rights and improving your member benefits and enjoyment. That's a commitment we can and we will build upon. On Friday, bringing years of staff, committee, and board collaboration to fruition, the board approved a long overdue comprehensive update to all of Tahoe Donner's capital and financial policies. That's the first comprehensive update to those policies in more than a dozen years. And I should also mention the success we've had strengthening our wildfire safety programs and working with the town and other regional partners to improve Tahoe Donner's evacuation preparedness. Recently, we made national news with our pioneering insurance partnership with Willis Towers Watson and the Nature Conservancy. The partnership aims to reform the insurance industry from within, with the goal of making homeowners insurance more accessible and more affordable for Tahoe Donner members. Building on these accomplishments, we are now working to revitalize long-range planning efforts to ensure that Tahoe Donner remains the vibrant and thriving community that we all want it to be. Over the next couple years, we hope to launch a new strategic planning initiative, a Tahoe Donner Community Plan, a plan that will bring us together and build consensus around our values and shared vision for Tahoe Donner's future. We hope that you will join us for those forward-thinking conversations. All communities face challenges. Tahoe Donner is no exception. The question is whether we have the strength and solidarity to surmount those challenges and move forward. Today, Tahoe Donner is strong in moving boldly forward because we are a community working together. That is why we have so much to celebrate today and why we can look forward to more celebrations in the future. I am grateful that we can be here today together at the annual meeting to celebrate Tahoe Donner, our shared community. Thank you. Next up on our agenda, I'd like to introduce Don Kunis, our treasurer, for the annual treasurer's report.
Good morning. I'd also like to reintroduce myself as your neighbor. Your board is, we're member volunteers too, and we are your neighbors. I want you to think of us that way. I recognize that as we go through the slides today, you're probably not going to be able to read the numbers. We will be posting this report online afterwards, but please do pay attention to the pictures. In fact, I know if I look out here and you look bored, you're listening to me and trying to read the numbers. If you're smiling, you're looking at the pictures of our great landscape and every people enjoying it and reflecting on what those numbers mean in terms of our member value and enjoyment. So is the first slide up? Okay, yeah, on the first slide, back. Yes. So what you see here is the expansive land holdings of Tahoe Donner up against the Sierra mountain peaks in the background. What you may not be able to see are the individual little homes in this picture. But for wherever your home might be, wherever your dot on that map might be, what you own is everything on this picture backing up against the Sierra. We are collectively all of Tahoe Donner. We all have a stake in Tahoe Donner, and it's all here for us to enjoy. And that's what the financial numbers are all about delivering. Tahoe Donner is one of the largest HOAs in the country. We have 6,500 properties. But when you add our wide-ranging amenities, our high-elevation weather, nearly 7,000 acres of private common and open space that must be managed for forest health and fire prevention, we are indeed one, if not the most complex HOAs in the country. Regarding the 6,500 properties, it's been a progressive build-out over 55 years, which, with the progressive build-out, has presented its own financial implications as we've moved from having a plethora of empty lots that were paying assessment not using amenities to near build-out and everyone using the amenities. The collective real estate is valued at $6.5 billion with a B, billion dollars. For a 50-plus-year-old development, that's pretty darn good. It points out what an amazing value Tahoe Donner is and how we remain an attractive place to own in and to enjoy. We're also a 501c4 corporation, which, one, means we are a corporation, We have a $31 million income statement and a $105 million balance sheet. But also as a 501c4, that favorable tax status brings with it an obligation to our wider community beyond our borders. And Benjamin mentioned how we also receive back from that. Next slide. Here are some summary statistics about our operation finances. We have 15 operating business units with 94 full-time employees year-round and nearly 1,000 people receiving payroll tax statements at the end of the year. Received over $38 million across all funds. A little bit over $19 million of that, a little bit over half, comes from operations, and slightly less than half of that comes from our assessments. As of the 2024 audited financials, we had $105 million in association assets and just over $90 million in member equity. Again, member equity, part of what we all own in addition to our house. For fiscal 2024, looking back, our last complete fiscal year with our audited financials, operating revenues were indeed unfavorable by about 14%, while our operating costs were favorable by almost 2%, giving us a net result of being $556,000 short of budget last year. That deficit was absorbed by the operating fund balance that we did have in place going into this year. Looking at 2025 year-to-date through the end of May, revenue is favorable to budget by 8%. Expenses are on budget. Net operating revenue is favorable by almost 7%, up over $250,000 over budget, which represents recovery in our first 5 months of almost half of last year's deficit. And if this great weather continues, we're going to have a fantastic year, not only enjoying our amenities, but also in terms of our financial performance. As of the end of May, our total cash balance across all funds was just over $46 million. We divide that into several funds, and this is part of what's going to be restructured in the policy changes that are going forward. But we have currently $141,000 in new machinery and equipment, over $6 million in the development fund, almost $22 million in the operating fund, and $18 million in the replacement reserve fund. We do invest those funds. We invest them in U.S. Treasuries, corporate and municipal bonds, money market instruments, and cash at the banks. They are all high-quality, conservative investments. The pie chart here represents the mix, and again, we will post that because I know you can't read it. We'll post that online. In terms of oversight and how we communicate our financial positions, on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, on an annual basis, we have a cadence of an in-depth review by a subcommittee of the board that reviews things in depth, along with the finance committee, which including an investment subcommittee, and as well as the full board reviews the financials. And I want to point out and thank the finance committee because these are dedicated neighbors that are finance professionals that are dedicated their time to provide their advice, their insight, and their oversight. Thank you. And of course, you can look to our website. Each fall, we'll publish the detailed each fall, we publish the detailed budget for the coming year. And then each spring at the conclusion, following our audit, we are audited by an independent CPA firm. We will issue an annual report on the preceding year. And just a little bit more about our financial policies, because this is looking forward, as Benjamin said on Friday. So last week, we approved policies that we're going to implement next week. This has been a comprehensive 2-year-long collaborative process. It involved the board, our professional staff, and again, the professionals who have volunteered their time on the finance committee. It covers virtually all of our financial policies, and it is guided by new industry standards that were issued for association reserves. And again, these are new industry standards, but we also do so in accordance with California and federal law and generally accepted accounting principles. So there's a lot to balance. In addition to all those standards and statutory items, we also took into consideration the practicality for staff to implement and the practicality for it being reasonable for the membership to absorb these changes and for it to make us a thriving community. Some of the improvements that you're going to see is we are going to begin comprehensively addressing all of the built components of the association, including long-term building replacement. We're no longer going to be in a sprint to catch up like we were with the downhill ski. You're also going to see some realignment between what's in the operating budget and the reserve funds. The reserve funds are set aside to ensure for all the routine maintenance replacement of the items that we need for the association are guaranteed saved for in a protected fund. And under the new guidelines, some of the things that were previously in our operating budget are going to move to a replacement reserve, so expect to see some changes and say, you know, where did that number come from? It's just shifted. These new policies are going to ensure our financial strength and stability for years to come, while in the short term, allow for a transition period to manage the impact that it may have on our assessment. And again, the impact is going to be the long-term funding for a building replacement that we just haven't looked for in the past. The benefits will include a normalized annual assessment, and in conclusion, the benefit I value most is it will protect and enhance our investment, your investment, in Tahoe Donner with dividends that come in value and enjoyment. Thank you.
All right. I'm happy to present Michelle Prestowitz, our new Executive Director at the Truckee River Watershed Council, to present to you. Please extend some warm welcome to her.
Good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me okay? I was told. Perfect. Thank you. I am Michelle Prestowitz. I'm the Executive Director of the Truckee River Watershed Council. I've been a member of the Truckee community, not in Tahoe Donner, but a Truckee community for over 20 years and have been recreating and benefiting from your investment as well. So I do have to say thank you for your long-term investment in not just the infrastructure that we just heard about, but also the natural infrastructure that you have in your vast land holdings. So thank you for that as a member of this community and as a representative of the Watershed Council. And let me make sure I have the right. Okay, I guess Tanea's got me. So the Truckee River Watershed Council, our mission is to protect and preserve and enhance the Truckee River watershed. We bring the community together to do these things. Just briefly, a watershed, if you imagine a bowl and you drop a drop of water on the rim of the bowl and it flows into the center, that is our watershed. If it goes the other way, for example, if you're up at Donner Summit, it might flow over into the Yuba or the American rivers, right? So everything that flows towards the Truckee River is our watershed. The Truckee River Watershed Council has been working since 1996 on science-based restoration and community-driven projects, and we've had over 50 successful restoration projects so far. Why does this matter? Our watershed is listed as polluted by excess sediment by the federal government and the state of California. That is damaging water quality and it's inhibiting wildlife habitat. But we don't have to necessarily accept that pollution. What are the benefits of a clean watershed, of a functioning watershed? We have clean, drinkable water, resilient forests and ecosystems, wildlife habitat and biodiversity, protection from fires and floods, which I know your board has been focusing on. and recreation and property values. As one of our dear friends, Mike Stoudemire, some of you might know, he shared with us his feelings when he was a community leader over at the North Star Community Services District. And he said, without a healthy watershed, we have nothing. So the Watershed Council works in what we call 3 buckets: projects, policy, and people. On the project side, over the past several years, we've completed over 1,500 acres of restoration up at Independence Forest, on the main stem of the Truckee River, in Parazzo Meadows, and Coldstream Canyon. Hopefully some of you have seen those sites and seen the benefits of that restoration. We now have 12,000 acres in planning to buffer wildfire, filter pollution, and slow floods. Forest health is a new priority for the Watershed Council. And as part of that, we are part of a groundbreaking partnership with the goal of treating 60,000 acres of forested areas on the U.S. Forest Service land within the next 10 years. This partnership has been recognized throughout the state of California as really one of the foremost. And I have to say, it builds upon, again, similar partnerships that Tahoe Donner has, this insurance product that you are having. We are working with the U.S. Forest Service, the Nature Conservancy, the National Forest Foundation, and the Truckee Meadows Watershed Authority. They're the water purveyor down in Reno. We are working in this very unique partnership to protect our community and our natural resources around us. This reduces, again, wildfire risk, increases water retention and snowmelt, and enhances not just the aesthetics and the recreation, but the fundamental ecosystem that's supporting all of this. Oftentimes, I feel like I'm hearing more and more nowadays people talking about view sheds. The view shed comes after you take care of the watershed. You need it to be functioning for it to look right. Don't just think about what you're looking at. Think about the roots of that as well. So this is a smart investment. I was really impressed by what your finance committee is doing and how the staff of Tahoe Donner is really approaching the finances, thinking about what are our long-term investments and what are the benefits. So our focus on watershed, the way I think about it, the way the Watershed Council is thinking about it, the focus and investment on our watershed and our community, it's increasing the safety, the function, and the beauty, and the land values. And Tahoe Donner and the Truckee River Watershed Council, we have a shared vision for long-term stewardship. I'm realizing, I think on the slide I have 5,000 acres. I hadn't realized that you guys are now at 7,000 acres of land that you are owning and stewarding. And so you have not only this investment, but a responsibility. And then what the Watershed Council can bring to this is 25 years of science-based experience getting work done on the ground. And so we actually have a formalized MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding, recognizing our shared goals, recognizing our partnership and how we can be working together. But it's not just a buzzword. It's not just, the collaboration and the partnership that everyone, yay, it's not too much, balloons and things like that. It's building on decades of partnership. That's actually how I met Benjamin, was through Truckee River Day, probably about a dozen years ago. But even that preceded when I met Benjamin. We've been working with your forestry department every year, planting a diversity of trees. And just a show of hands, how many of you have done Truckee River Day before or heard of Truckee River Day? Oh, great. Okay. So I feel like maybe I'm preaching to the choir here, but we are building upon what you have all been doing, and it's formalizing our collaborative partnership and relationship. So one of our first big projects, as Benjamin mentioned earlier, is Your Valley. This is really, we've been working on Truckee River Day projects. These have all had tremendous benefit, not only and getting all of you involved, and how you can be each watching your landscape, but having real impacts to the benefit of the landscape. But now we're working on your valley, building, I think it's 500 to 600 feet of boardwalk. And it's not just for that recreational benefit. That boardwalk is pulling the recreational impacts off of the meadow surface. So, you might, we've all been out there. We've seen the braided trails that are going across the meadow. That trail is interrupting hydrologic flow. Actually, I guess it goes this way. It's interrupting how the water flows across the landscape, and that starts to have impacts on, believe it or not, bugs are really good. My husband hates bugs, but they're good. They feed the base of the food chain. They are feeding the birds, they are feeding the fish, which tumbles upwards, right? So we're pulling that braided system out of, sorry, I have a phone call. They're pulling that braided system out of the meadow surface, putting that bridge in. That bridge, I've been joking for months now that I have a bridge to sell. So, how we've all seen, I think I can't quite see the screen, but there's these culverts have been out there for years. I guess a dozen years the Tahoe Downer has now been trying to address that issue. Through this restoration partnership, we are pulling those culverts out that get crushed every year and are precarious for people in the summertime and the wintertime to cross. We're pulling that out and putting in a more stable bridge. Again, that pulls the recreational impacts out of the creek. We'll stabilize the creek, starting there, moving downstream, and addressing what is a natural grade going across there. There are centuries of impact and changes to that watershed down in your valley, and now you are part of correcting those impacts and improving it so it's here long-term for generations to come. So just to circle it back again, this partnership is more than just collaboration. It's smart investment. Again, you bring the ownership and this long-term commitment to stewardship, and we, the Watershed Council, are bringing expertise and funding. We're bringing in about $3.5 million to enhance your properties. This is through publicly financed, bond-funded grants to do watershed restoration. The state of California, I'm very grateful to be working within the state of California that we have these voter-approved funds to take care of our environment for the long term. Again, it's not the beauty, it is the function, it is the health of the watershed and our ecosystem so that we can all continue to live in a resilient landscape that is resilient to wildfire, to flood, to the extremes of climate change. And it allows Tahoe Downer to realize the high impact restoration and recreation improvements at a fraction of the cost to you as HOA members. So I guess I just want to say, I can't remember what my next, if you want to learn more about the Watershed Council, not only what we're doing within your lands, but also within our community, because the watershed doesn't recognize where our land boundaries, where our jurisdictional differences. If you want to learn more about the Watershed Council, we have, where's Jason? There he is. Jason has been helping us. We will be doing what we call a river talk up at the Alder Creek Adventure Center 2 weeks on the 9th, Wednesday the 9th. We'll talk a little bit more about the projects that we are doing in conjunction with Tahoe Downer. It'll be a smaller, hopefully more intimate crowd. You can ask more questions. But so I encourage you to come out for that. I believe it's 6 p.m. Yes. Thank you. And so I invite you to all come to that. If you can't make it for that date, please reach out. Our website is on that slide, as well as our email, so www.truckyriverwc.org. And then I will be in your tables if you have any additional questions. And we also have project tours looking at past restoration projects in Martis Valley, in Perazo Meadows and in Coldstream Canyon, please come visit and sign up for that. We'd love to share our work with you. And finally, this is your land. It's really an incredible asset and a responsibility, and all of you are rising to this responsibility. Thank you for your stewardship, and together we're making a difference. And I really look forward to continuing this partnership with the Tahoe Donner Association. Thank you.
Okay, I just need to get organized up here to make sure I don't ramble on. I realized last year, standing up here and listening to my ego, that I didn't need my glasses at the time, and I couldn't read my notes all the way. So I do have my glasses here today. So pardon me when I put the Smarty Pants glasses on, but I need to be able to see you all. It is a real honor to stand before you today. This is my second annual meeting since becoming your permanent general manager. This place, for so many of us, we are so proud to call it home, or at the very least, a cherished part of our lives. And I just want to start off with a little story real quickly. Some of you guys may have heard this if you attended any of our events at the marina when we opened up the deck. I talked about 20 plus years ago, I worked at the rec department for 10 years, more, and I looked back at Tahoe Donner from West End Beach. That was one of the facilities I ran. And I joke that I always would brush off all the pine needles and pine cones and wish them on to the Tahoe Donner Beach at the other end. That was my perspective. I was also invited during that time to come and consult for the Tahoe Donner Recreation and Aquatics facilities to help them with their lifeguarding and swim instruction and kids programs. And that was my only perspective of Tahoe Donner. I had been a long-term resident of Tahoe Donner, or Truckee, but I knew that Tahoe Donner was this place up on the hill. It's where some of us teenagers and college age might have come to party and drive around on the streets back in the days. But that's really all I knew about Tahoe Donner, besides the fact that when I came in consultant, I said, wow, they have an amazing recreation facility. Trout Creek was built in 1992, so it was fairly new at the time. This place is pretty amazing. And as my career progressed, I just kept looking to Tahoe Donner as an opportunity, something outside of the public sector, something more where I could take my desire for increased customer service, that member service, the member-driven aspect, and bring it to light with my teams. Fast forward 20 some odd years later, and I'm standing on just off of Glacier Way. I'd hiked up with a staff member up the Donner Lake Rim Trail towards the Drifter Hut, if anybody has been up there. And I looked around, and not just at our western ridge of the High Sierra, but back and looked at what Tahoe Donner actually is. What a different perspective I have today than when I had 25 plus years ago, and the immensity and the responsibility that we all have for this place. And I think that that is the same perspective that many homeowners have. They're attracted to Tahoe Donner. They think of it, I'm buying a home in this great place because of a Trout Creek or because it's close to the ski resorts. And the discovery that you have, or I hope that you all have, of this amazing place. It is not just your resident. It is 7,000 acres that you're all owners of in part and parcel. When you go out to your valley or you go out to Bennett Meadow, this is your property. This is your place. And there's a tremendous amount of responsibility and pride that I think you should all have. When we speak of Tahoe Donner, we don't speak of just property lines and amenities. We speak of something deeper, as I said in my story. We speak of people, place, and the community where we belong. Let's begin with the people, the heart of Tahoe Donner. From all of us who shovel snow in the winter and sometimes curse the snowplow, we share trails in the summer, and to the employees who offer laughter and life at the amenities and programs, every person here adds a thread to our shared story. We are a community of outdoor enthusiasts, nature lovers, young families, retirees, and everyone in between. Our diversity in background is matched by unity in spirit. The desire to live well, connect with nature, and support one another. I've heard so many stories this winter of neighbor supporting neighbor. Up here in Truckee, down in the Bay Area, your relationships that you build span hundreds of miles, and you all come together when there's need. How inspiring. We had a rough start to winter, right? We closed out our winter with a party at Cross Country. If you didn't go there this year, please come join us next year. Our temporary operations at Downhill could have been challenging. They were challenging, but management had a mindset that temp ops was an adventure and an opportunity, and boy, did they rise to the occasion and beyond. I want to quickly thank the winter operations team. Without them, we could not have been as successful as we were this winter. So quick thank you. While we started our winter season with the low snow and reduced revenue, our experienced management team made the best of the situation and still offered high-quality programs and services with a smile. And who would have known that Downhill would have been so amazingly popular without a ski lodge? I want to run through a couple numbers. So the 22-23 winter, we had over 46,000 skiers. We offered over 5,200 group lessons, over 2,000 private lessons, 212 programs. Our rental shop brought in a little less than $1 million. We moved the porta potty from the yurt 24 times. In that year, the beneficial impact to the association was approximately $270 per property. That's $1,700,000 beneficial to your assessment. The Downhill operation is a powerhouse for this association. Don't forget that. And I'll repeat it, and we'll continue repeating it. For this winter, we had 30,000 skiers and no ski lodge. We offered just under 4,000 group lessons, 1,200 private lessons, 187 program participants, even though we were using the yurt as a staff locker room. Our rentals brought in $500,000 in containers. We moved the porta potties 450 times. So, again, this management team is exceptional, and they are willing to make it happen so that you can come and enjoy your facilities. Golf has had an amazing start this year, with emphasis and resource allocation on corrective and preventative maintenance. The conditions are unreal. The best beginning season conditions in my recollection. All 18 holes opened this year. That was one of our main goals. And I've heard many golfers, avid golfers, say that these are the conditions, the starting conditions were like July conditions. So strong hand to the golf teams. Thank you. Our food and beverage operation is in the initial stage of a major strategic shift. We're redefining the menus pricing, and services, highly focused on the fact that the members give to the food and beverage operation through your assessment. This summer begins more forward-facing changes to improve the performance and ensure the value of the contribution margin. What is that? It's the overall experience that members have when you come to an amenity and you have a food and beverage operation available to you at the same time as being at Trout Creek Pool or at Alder Creek Adventure Center or here at this amazing Northwoods Clubhouse. They're doing amazing work, and they believe in the vision that we're going to take food and beverage and improve operations. Thank you so much, food and beverage team, also for today's member barbecue. There is a lot that goes into making this happen so quickly. And a quick but very meaningful recognition of our team implementing the amenity access rule change. There's a lot happening on the back end, and you are engaging with our member services and all of our private amenity staff as they are implementing a rule that was adopted. And yes, there are changes, and yes, change can be hard. And yes, we don't always have positive interactions with members that take out their frustration of validation with our members. I ask that you support them. They are trying to protect your interests in this association, reduce the fraud that was happening with member ID cards. They are protecting your interests, and they believe in this cause. Thank you, team, for doing this hard work. Okay, now let's talk about this place. This is an incredible place. If you can't tell, I'm very passionate about Tahoe Donner. I live here. I practically live here. I don't live here. I live in Glenshire, but I spend most of my time here. My family spends most of their time here. My husband uses Trout Creek and swims at the pool in the morning with some of the aqua joggers in there, and he comes back and asks, when are we building more pools? Well, it's not we, it's Tahoe Donner. But my son also rides his bike here. He skis here. He does trail work here. All of our staff integrate their personal lives into Tahoe Donner. That's how passionate they are, whether they live here. Just over a third of our employees are Tahoe Donner members or relatives of members. So this place is meaningful to us too. This is your home. Tahoe Donner isn't somewhere where we just live or visit. It's where we breathe differently. It's where our kids first learn to ski, where we hike under the canopy of pines, and where we catch our breath watching the sun. Nature is not just a backdrop here, it's a living presence. The trails, the forest, and meadows, and lakes, they don't just provide recreation, they provide perspective. Last year alone, between Tahoe Donner and members like all of you, we collectively completed 600 plus acres of defensible space. That's amazing. Tahoe Donner alone increased their impact on fuels by 2 times our normal. You will continue to see this pace and scale of work increasing, continuing the effect of the ongoing necessary change to the landscape for wildfire resiliency. You heard about our partnership, our long-term partnership that was recently solidified in an MOU for partners with the Watershed Council. We have vision, and vision takes long time and planning. We originally envisioned 10 plus years ago that we could have a partnership with the Watershed Council, that we could receive grant funds through the Watershed Council to benefit this organization. We have a vision long term that will continue that partnership, not just for Prosser. We are headwaters to 2 other creeks, Alder Creek and Trout Creek. And what we're going to do in the future is going to be amazing for your backyard and for this natural resource. Long time in coming. You heard Benjamin talk briefly about some of the projects. 2 decades to get these things done. Why does it take so long to get it done? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but we had fortitude and we had vision. I just want to thank this membership. We don't always agree, but what becomes is always better than what we have. So, lastly, as we move forward, whether in preserving our open space, planning our future, or simply meeting at the lodge for dinner, let us continue to lead with what's best for us, our people, our reverence for this place, and our unshakable sense of community. Thank you all for being part of what makes Tahoe Donner more than just a destination, but a legacy. So thank you. Okay. Next up on our agenda, I'd like to introduce Tony Moore, our chair of the Tahoe Donner Giving Fund. Tony?
Hi there. Good afternoon, and it's great to see you all here on this absolutely picture-perfect day. I'd like to start by thanking Benjamin and Annie for allowing time on this agenda for me to share information with you all about the Tahoe Donner Giving Fund. But I want to start by saying 2 mornings ago, I attended just the beginning of the Tahoe Donner board meeting, and we had a member who's here in the audience bring up the issue about cigarette butts scattered around our community, which is a very scary thing. There were a few other comments about that. And in response, Don made a comment about how as homeowners we often see ourselves focused, naturally so, on our homes, our individual properties, but how important it is for us to engage and care about Tahoe Donner as a whole. So when I thought about how that relates to the Tahoe Giving Fund, try to picture Tahoe Donner community as a bigger dot on a bigger map within the Tahoe Truckee region. And with that, think about the Giving Fund as a mechanism for us to engage with and care for the broader Tahoe Truckee community. The Giving Fund was established in 2014, and the initial Giving Fund committee wasted no time getting started. Just 1 year later, they made their first $1,000 scholarship award to just one student. In addition, about $11,000 was awarded in small grants to 5 different nonprofit organizations. This is a special year for the Giving Fund. You may have seen our booth when you walked in because we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary. And in this past 10 years, we're proud to say that we have awarded $400,000 in grants to 37 different nonprofit organizations. In addition, we have awarded about $1.5 million in scholarships to 74 students. Quite impressive. About $250,000 of the scholarships were the result of general fundraising efforts. That, in other words, are donations directly from all of you. And this was a result of, again, general fundraising efforts. Also, and then that funding supports, besides the grants, are what we call our traditional scholarships. The remainder, about $1.25 million, has been made possible due to the extraordinary generosity, imagine this, of one anonymous donor. This funding supports our impact scholarships. Amazing, and thank you to our anonymous donor. For both types of scholarships, we prioritize students who are often the first generation in their family to attend college or trade school, but also have demonstrated a nice balance between academics, extracurricular activities, and work experience. So now switching gears back to the grants to local nonprofits. We focus our funding in 4 different areas: arts and culture, education and youth development, environment, conservation, and animal wellness, and lastly, health and human services. Due to our success of our fundraising efforts over time, the amounts and number of organizations has increased. During the past 2 years, grant amounts increased to $5,000 and $10,000 for a total of $60,000. And we are pleased to have plans for another $60,000 to go out this coming fall. While I do not have time to go into much detail, I'd like to mention our most recent 8 organizations that we have funded. They include Achieve Tahoe to support sports and outdoor opportunities for people with disabilities, Sierra Senior Services to provide Meals on Wheels and support services for needy and often isolated seniors, Friends of the Library to support planning activities for a new, long overdue, state-of-the-art regional library, and they are here today. An amazing little program called La Fuerza Latina. This is an effort led by Craig Rowe, who is an English high school teacher at Truckee High School, and he provides help to students who are often students low on resources to help prepare and navigate the college prep and admissions process. The Boys and Girls Club to provide children with essential after-school and summer programs. Truckee School of Music to provide music education and an opportunity for students, including an instrument library where students that don't have the means can check out for free an instrument. The Truckee Community Theater to provide young performers with an opportunity to learn and experience the thrill of being on stage. And last, Slow Food Tahoe, best known for the food bank and community gardens located in our regional park. For both the scholarships and the grants, we work in partnership with the Tahoe Truckee Community Foundation. They also provide us with administrative support and serve as our 501c3. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank our founding partner, Jamie Waltman-Legary of Elements Mountain Company. They have supported our giving fund since the very beginning. Specifically, their financial support covers our administrative costs, which means for every dollar that you donate, it goes directly to the students, directly to our local nonprofit organizations. And speaking of deserving students, I'm very pleased to introduce you to Julia, a Truckee High grad. And Julia's going to share her story with you, and then I'll make a few brief comments in closing.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Tony. Hi, everyone. Like she said, my name is Julia Egan, and I've been lucky to call Truckee my home my entire life, and I also lived in Tahoe Donner for probably the first 13 years of my life, so I was always frolicking around in this meadow and playing on these swing sets growing up. I graduated from Truckee High in 2023, and it's weird to say that I'm now going to be a junior in college at Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo. I am majoring in business administration with a concentration in quantitative analysis and pre-law studies, and it's just been awesome. From a young age, I've always known that I wanted to go to college. Ooh, sorry, I'm a little nervous. You guys have just been absolutely amazing to me. I've always wanted to go to college, not just to get a degree, but to grow and explore new opportunities and to hopefully one day give back to this community. I was raised by my incredible mom, Heidi, who is here today, alongside my 2 older siblings, and she has always worked tirelessly to support us, and she has made so many sacrifices to make my future possible. I've always acknowledged how lucky I am to live this life, and I know that there are so many students who are in our community with big dreams who are not as fortunate as I am, and that's why I wanted to speak a little bit today about how impactful the Tahoe Donner Giving Fund is to me, is to so many other students, and to thank you all for your contributions. This fund hasn't just helped me pay for my tuition, it has helped me afford housing, which I'm sure you all know is very expensive. Textbooks, groceries, all things that federal financial aid typically doesn't cover. It has made college attainable for me and so many others, but more than that, it has given me peace of mind. Instead of stressing about how I was going to make college work, I have been able to say yes to every opportunity that has been presented to me and take every opportunity that I care about without hesitation, which is just a huge blessing in my life. At Cal Poly, I have found so many ways to get involved. I am in a sorority, believe it or not, and I serve as the external philanthropy chair. And in that position, I help organize service events and fundraisers for clubs and organizations, one of which is Girls on the Run, which was something I loved participating in Truckee when I was a little girl, so that has been awesome. I'm also in a group called Phi Alpha Delta, which is the National Law Fraternity Association. So I've gotten to kind of prepare for the LSAT and my future in law, hopefully. And I've gotten to do a ton of other fun things like intramural sports. Soccer I was good at, which I played my whole life. Basketball was not for me. Got hit in the face with the ball. Gave that one up. And a few months ago, I started working at a law firm in downtown San Luis Obispo. And I've been grateful enough to have them help me get my certified paralegal certificate, which has been amazing. And I can truly say that it is a huge blessing to be able to work a job that I enjoy and that is giving me real life experience in my future field versus working a job to try and put myself through school and have to worry about all of those things that kids should not have to worry about. These experiences are shaping the person that I want to become, and they are only possible because of the generosity of people like you guys. Throughout high school, like most students, I've worked various jobs, like hosting at Bar of America, babysitting, and last summer I got to work as a hostess in Expo at the Tahoe Donner Lodge, which was so much fun, and maybe I saw some of you and hopefully got your orders correct. That was a great way to stay connected to this amazing community. And like I said, this summer I'm staying back in San Luis Obispo and continuing my paralegal work and taking classes. And in the long term, I hope to pursue law school and work in a field where I can advocate for underserved communities. And I would love to return to Truckee one day and give back here too. Receiving the scholarship isn't just about money. It's about knowing that I have a community that believes in me. While it can be hard to stay motivated in an extremely fast-paced and competitive world, knowing that I have people who stand behind me and want to see me succeed gives me the motivation to push on through any trying times I may experience. Not only do I hope to make my family, my mom, and myself proud, but I hope to make all of you proud and show you and the larger community how important and impactful these scholarships are in so many kids' lives. This scholarship reminds me every single day that I come from a place that lifts up young people and motivates them to pursue their dreams and goals. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so much. When students are able to focus on being students, getting good grades, and making extremely important connections versus having to grow up too fast, the possibilities for them are endless. You are not just helping students get to college, but you are helping us become leaders, professionals, and people who want to give back. I hope I can make you proud, and I hope you all continue to invest in the next generation of Truckee and Tahoe students. It truly makes all the difference. Thank you so much.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to share information about the Giving Fund with you. While we're very proud of our accomplishments, there is room to do so much more. Right now, on an annual basis, less than 5% of Tahoe Donner property owners contribute to the Giving Fund. With nearly 6,500 properties, if every household donated $100, imagine how collectively we could expand our reach to students, families, and the community. After all, our beautiful homes, amazing lifestyle, day-to-day needs, and experiences are supported by the people who live and work in the broader Tahoe Truckee community. Giving back is a great way to show our appreciation and say thanks in a big way. If you'd like to make a donation towards our current summer campaign or learn more about the Giving Fund, we have a booth strategically placed right out front. You can stop by our booth, we can chat with you, or you can visit our website. We also have Marcia here with us, if Marcia could give a wave. She's our vice chair, and she has copies of our 2024 annual report to donors. And so if you could just flag her attention, she'll provide you with a report. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony, and thank you so much for that inspirational talk. You did a great job. Okay, now we're going to take member comments and questions. So I'm going to call up some staff to answer some of the questions. Lindsay Hogan, will you come up, our Director of Communications and Member Relations? Miguel Sloan, our Director of Operations. John Groom, our Director of Land Management. And Robbie McClendon. Did I see him walk out? Our Assistant Director of Operations. Come on up. Okay, we're going to start with some of the other questions that Benjamin already has and Denise has. Yeah.
All right, so I have a two-part question here on build-out. So the first question is, how many of the 6,473 lots are now built out? And the answer to that is approximately 92% of the lots are built out today. This is a big change from when my family first arrived here in Tahoe in the late 1990s. Back then it was about 2/3 built out. So if you do the math, there's about 550 vacant, unimproved lots. Some of those lots, if you drive around, are pretty challenging to build on, and that's probably why they're still vacant. The second question that I have here is, what are the legal constraints keeping Tahoe Donner from declaring or accepting new properties into the association? And so that actually is covered in our CNRs. It's called annexation. If a new property was proposed to be brought into the association, it would actually require a member vote, and that would be a member vote, a majority of the total voting power of the association, so all 6,473 properties. So if you know somebody who wants to add their property to the association and you can convince 3,237 Tahoe Donner members to agree to that, theoretically it is possible, but it's a pretty big uphill climb to do that.
Hello, Denise Ghani, your brand new member last year, board member. Thank you. Thanks for your vote. So I have two questions. One of them, any thoughts in speaking with the town in replacing our street signs? We all know that they're not in great repair and they could use some work. And it seems like every year they sort of get banged up for some reason. The snow, probably the snow blowing off the signs from the plows. So we do work with our Public Works office here in Truckee. All of the signs and all the streets are their responsibility. So we personally can't really do it as an association, but our staff has requested that they get replaced and also that they upgrade the materials so that we don't have to do it every year. And it is something that's a priority for them, so know that that is on our list. All right. Okay, and the second one, I'm sure I got this because I'm a golfer. So the annual report and the budget documents demonstrate that each property owner pays into the assessment around $150 to $170 a year to subsidize golf and slightly less to subsidize the food service. And the question is, what is the board doing about this, or are we doing anything? And I can say the board is doing something, and that is supporting staff. And Annie mentioned earlier some big changes that are going on in the food and beverage. And Mike Peters, our new guy who used to be here, now he's come back, he's really working with staff and Annie for a vision which includes member benefit and value to you, and to make sure that we give you what you want and you come to the lodge or the lodge or whatever, and that you like it. And also looking at things like supplies and inventory and staffing and all kinds of things that we can look at and make sure that we're operating as efficiently as possible. And again, the board isn't doing that, but staff is doing that, but we support it at 100%. And then when it comes to golf, also staff is working on that, and we support the changes. For example, this year we introduced a new reservation system, and it doesn't sound like much, but it helps us increase public play. So we get more revenues coming in to offset the cost of golf, because golf is very expensive. We also signed a partnership with Golf Moose. I'm not sure if anybody that doesn't golf knows what that is, but it's an online system that's partnering with our new system to help bring in more public play at a reduced rate. So we are looking at it from the public side to get more revenue, because that's the biggest revenue generator for us. They're also looking at things like making sure that the golf course is in great shape, which it is. And also, you guys made a big investment in the golf course a couple years ago, replacing all the greens. And Annie talked about the golf course earlier, but one of the reasons that we've been so successful is because of that investment. A lot of the courses around here were not able to open because their greens were so bad. So we were the first ones to open, the very first time I ever remember in the history of Tahoe Donner. So that's bringing in more revenue in all places. So know that the board is supporting all of the checks and balances that the staff is doing to make sure that we're spending your money wisely. Thank you.
All right, Lindsay, and then John, then Miguel, then Robbie.
Yeah, Lindsay Hogan, Director of Communications and Member Relations. Great to see you guys all here today. The question I'm answering today is, why don't we move the Tahoe Donner News magazine to digital? Doesn't it cost us money and resources? Before I answer that, I want to back up just a tiny bit. The communications team at Tahoe Donner brings in about a little over $400,000 in net revenue, in gross revenue from advertising dollars. About $250,000 of that $400,000 comes in through the Tahoe Donner News and Life magazine. The cost to produce that from printing and mailing is about 40% of that. So when you look at that publication, it actually produces revenues that offsets the rest of the department. So we make money. We're better off on doing that. The other component of that is through our state restrictions or our state guidelines, we have to, by law, mail you, the members, certain notices, things like 45-day notices, forestry inspection notices. There's often probably about 10 mailers a year on average. When there's 6,473 properties and we have to send them all, you can imagine that cost adds up. And sometimes that number is probably another $50,000 to $75,000 just in direct mail. Those costs are deferred because we're able to use the Tahoe Donner News. So in addition to the advertising revenue that makes the association money, that reduces your annual assessment, we also defer having to pay those costs. One last thing is, we use that publication to try to keep you guys informed and to remind people of how amazing this community is. So we have this other communication and lifestyle benefit from it. So as we're producing revenue through advertising revenue, saving costs, we're also trying to make sure you guys are all informed as to why this place is so amazing. So can we do this digitally? Yes, and we do. The problem with if we just go digital is advertisers won't give us the advertising revenues that way. So could we get a little bit? Sure. But then we're going to have all the work of producing it with no advertising or very minimal advertising revenue coming in. So just strictly offering a digital will not allow us to intake that important revenue that offsets the rest of the department and the staff wages. So thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm John Groom, your Director of Land Management. The first question that was handed to me was about amenity access. That was mistakenly handed to me, and I'm really glad I'm not answering that question because I'm a little bit at a loss about that. But the real questions that I have here are what's being done to strongly encourage donations for the non-members that use our trail systems? And I think that's a great question. What you'll see is that we now have QR codes that are going to be placed out there at all of our trailheads. Folks can scan that. Folks can donate on the back end. That took a little bit of work to set up. I think signage is also leading people on our kiosks to try to direct them to make donations about that. But more importantly, behind the scenes, Leslie Loveland, our trail program manager, is actually engaging most of those groups that are organized out there, like the youth groups that use our trails. And those kids are coming in and actually helping us to maintain the trails. So that part's been a huge success. So it may not be monetary, but we're actually some days having like 20 or 30 youth groups out there, youth out there actually helping the trail crew. The second question is, what is being done to cite or enforce no class 2 or 3 e-bikes? We've got a couple things on that. We have cameras actually out there on the trail system at some locations, so we're able to track the usage of the trail system and see who's using it. We have a 4-person trail crew out there that's out there every day, and they're kind of tracking what they're seeing out there. And, actually Leslie, who's over at the tent, has been known to actively chase down people that are either out there on things that they shouldn't be, like these one-wheel skateboard things, if you've ever seen those. Sometimes we see those out on the trail system. And at the entrance to all of our trails, like if you go to Alder Creek Adventure Center and you go to the Yellow Gate or any of our gates or any of our trails that actually have an external connection, you should see a sign that says no class or 2 e-bike. So I hope that explains that. And I'd love to hear if anybody has other concerns. We're over here at the black tent that's in the corner, and Leslie's over there as well, and she's probably actually better informed than I am on some of these things. So thanks.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Miguel Sloan. I'm the Director of Operations here at Tahoe Donner. And the question I have is, given the change in amenity access in 2026 and beyond, I think our private amenities will be more crowded. What plans are you making to expand these facilities? So the association has a member committee called the Long Range Planning Committee, or LRPC. They work with our Director of Capital Projects to work on the future of the association and determine what should be a priority project. So that's really the committee that sort of identifies what we need to do next and how we're going to get that done and plan for it. With respect to the policy itself, the changes allow us to identify different user categories much more finely than we did in the past. And what that allows us to do is address high use times, peak use times, and potentially allow us to regulate the folks that are coming into those facilities a little better. As we developed this policy, we did identify that we will likely see more member usage of the private amenities. And as a group, with the board and staff, we agreed that that is actually a good thing. We want our members to start using our facilities more. So we will potentially, moving forward, have some restrictions during peak use times for the user categories that aren't members. We're going to prioritize our membership that way. So that's how we plan on handling it in the near term. And then through the member committee, and our Director of Capital Projects will be addressing some of the concerns as far as what we're going to do in the future. As an example, I know we're looking at this campus, which includes the tennis center, in the very near term, and that should be the next project that we do is expand some of the tennis center facility over there along with this campus. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Rob McClendon. I'm the Assistant Director of Winter Operations. Sorry about my voice. I lost it a few days ago. It's starting to come back. Can you give us an update on the ski lodge project? And is it on budget and on time? So, yes, they're working diligently daily. I think on Thursday there were 75 workers up there. It's pretty impressive. They're lapping over everything. Downstairs at the floor one, which is like the mechanical room, is drywalled in, completed. There's doors in. They're putting all the additional items down there. The second floor, they've got about 90% of the drywall up. They'll start taping and mudding it next week. And then they move on to the third floor where they're chasing the mechanical, electrical guys. So we're moving forward. They backfilled the deck. If you guys were up there earlier this year, there was a big crater out in front of it. So now it's all backfilled. They're ready to start the deck portion of that. There will be some regrading that happens out in front of the entrance area. So that should be starting in the next 3 weeks or so. So if you have any more questions regarding the Downhill Ski Lodge, I'll be right over there. More than happy to sit down and talk to you about it. But it's going great. They're working real hard, and they're going to get it done on time and in budget. So.
Thank you, Robbie, for covering for John Mitchell, our Director of Capital Projects and Facilities. He is out visiting family this week. That is another repeat that we want to repeat and repeat and repeat. I think the rule of thumb is repeat 7 times and then maybe we'll ingest it. We are absolutely driven to get that downhill ski lodge done on time and in budget. It is one of our primary goals as a staff this year, and certainly the board of directors. We envision us opening those doors on December 19th for our season and celebrating with each one of you through the next month and a half. Next month and a half. It is something to be celebrated. If you have not gone up there to peek and take a look, it is amazing. If you remember the old brown building, go take a walk at the golf course. All you have to do is look off the deck and look at the pump house, the little shake pump house, and reflect what that building looked like just a few months ago. So I'm going to finish off the questions. On more than one occasion, we went to a TD facility and staff not aware of events and happenings. Example, went to the lodge for happy hour. Staff said happy hour ended May 29th, and according to the TD Summer Fun Guide, happy hour was offered during the time we were there. Suggest better communication with all TD staff in regards to current events. Thank you so much for that feedback. We are always looking to improve our internal syncing and communications. There is a lot going on around here at Tahoe, even within one building. We have a rapid ramp up to both winter and summer season that we're training. We go from our pretty steady Eddie staff. We have a little less than 100 full-time year-round employees here at the organization, and some seasonals that stay on during our off-season. There is no off-season anymore, but there's about another 150 that are at Trout Creek or other facilities that currently open. But in our peak summer and our peak winter, we have over 500 employees. So we employ just under or right above 1,000 employees a year. That's a tremendous lift every season, especially when so many come in and we have internationals, high school students, retirees come in and learn about Tahoe Donner. So we have some internal sync communications that we utilize weekly to make sure that we're pressing information and pulling information, but we can always do better. One of our mantras is all about continuous improvement, and you'll continue to see little ticks of improvements throughout. So thank you. Okay, we have our final question, and I may ask the person that wrote this to clarify a little bit because it's hard to tell. For our neighbor, the treasurer, the last statement of his presentation, what does that mean? So if you wrote that question, could you stand up really quick and just yell it out? Thank you. Great. I'm going to call Don up here if he's so willing.
So what I said was that one of the benefits here is for the protection and enhancement of your investment in Tahoe Downer with dividends in value and enjoyment. Is that what you're looking for clarification on? Okay. So, again, Tahoe Downer, as we're speaking about, is not just your home, it is the entire community. How we maintain this community has a direct impact on our own home values. Because when people are looking to buy, and I can say when my wife and I, Denise is in the front row, when we looked, we started looking at the other side of the summit. We didn't want to cross over in the middle of the winter. And then we took a look at Tahoe Downer and what it had to offer. And we decided to buy into the community. And I hear the same story from many other people in terms of buying into the community. If we don't maintain the community, we're not going to be maintaining our home values because it's not going to be an attractive place where people want to come and live and enjoy. So our financial policies as a core tenet said we want to be able to deliver back that value and continue to grow what it is that we all bought into. And again, when we invest into Tahoe Downer, the association, it has a direct impact on your home values. It has a direct impact on the obligations that we all have to maintain the entire association, to do so effectively. And doing all of that is what ensures our ability to continue to do what we've been talking about all day, and that's enjoy everything that it is that we have around us. I hope that helps. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. We are almost done. Now, Jay Wertheim, will you come on up here, please? Jim Roth is online listening to today's meeting. We deeply, deeply thank him for his 6 years of volunteering on the board. He also participated. Yes, thank you. He was also on task force before he came on the board. He became active, and he continues to be active with his 2 girls here at the amenities, like so many other members. He was able to help bring perspective to the board, see around the corners, as one of our board members characterized it. This board and prior boards continue to focus on what's bettering this organization, and we do have robust conversations. We don't always agree. The board doesn't always agree, but the outcome is generally better for it. So I want to thank that sitting board that is exiting today. Now, I would be honored to introduce your 2025-26 Board of Directors: Benjamin Levine, Courtney Morell, Don Kunis, Denise Gani, and Jay Wertheim.
Well, I promised lunch at 11:30. It is now 11:35. And if I've learned anything running board meetings over the last year, is that you delay lunch at your own peril. So, would any board member like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting and go to lunch? I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, folks, for coming out today.